Learn English with U.S. citizenship stories. What does it mean to belong?
Welcome to Citizenship Unlocked, the show where we explore not just how to pass the U.S. citizenship test, but how to live it. I'm Andrea, your host and lifelong civics nerd. With me today is David, who's been preparing for his test and thinking deeply about what becoming a citizen really means. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Andrea. I'm excited and nervous. I keep thinking about that oath ceremony and what it means to actually become an American citizen.
That's exactly what we're exploring today. Because behind every question on the U.S. citizenship test, like what is one right only for United States citizens, there's a whole story about freedom, responsibility, and belonging.
I remember that one. The answer is to vote in a federal election, right?
Perfect. And that right, voting, is one of the biggest privileges of citizenship. But think about it. Why do you think voting is limited to citizens?
Maybe because it's a way of showing loyalty? Like, you're shaping the country you're part of.
Exactly. It's a kind of conversation between you and the nation. When you vote, you're saying, I belong here and I care about what happens. It's like being part of a big family meeting, except instead of arguing about dinner, you're deciding who leads the country.
That's a big family meeting. But it makes sense. When I think of my home country, I didn't always feel my vote mattered. Here, even though politics can be messy, I feel like the system actually listens.
That's the heart of it. The Constitution's opening words, "We the people," aren't just history. They're an invitation. Every new citizen becomes part of that we.
I like that. It feels powerful. Like the test questions aren't just trivia. They're keys to understanding what I'm joining.
Exactly. Each one opens a door. For example, when the test asks, what are two rights in the Declaration of Independence? The answer is life and liberty. But those aren't just words. They're promises. They're the reason America exists.
So when I memorize those answers, I'm really memorizing values.
Yes, and that's why I tell my students, don't just study for the test, study for your citizenship story. Think of the test as a mirror reflecting the kind of citizen you'll be.
That's deep. You know, I always thought of the citizenship test as something to get through. But now I'm starting to see it as something to grow into.
Beautifully said. The process doesn't just test your knowledge, it transforms it. And once you understand what citizenship gives you, like rights, protection, and participation, you realize it's not just paperwork, it's belonging.
That word, belonging, really hits home. I've lived here for years, paid taxes, volunteered, but somehow, that piece of paper feels like the final puzzle piece.
It is. And it's not just about status, it's about standing. The U.S. citizenship test, especially the civics part, is like the country saying, do you understand what you're becoming part of? And when you say yes, you're not just passing, you're participating.
That actually gives me goosebumps. I guess the test isn't just about the past, it's about the future.
Exactly, David. Citizenship isn't an ending. It's the beginning of a conversation that lasts a lifetime. So now that we've talked about the promise of citizenship, let's talk about power, because that's really what rights are, forms of power we all share.
You mean like voting again?
Definitely. Voting is one of the most visible powers, but it's also about having a voice. Remember that question from the test. What are two ways Americans can participate in their democracy?
Oh yeah, vote and run for office. I remember that one.
Right. Those are the big ones, but there are others too. Writing to your representatives, joining a community group, even attending town hall meetings. These are all ways to shape the democracy you live in.
You know, before studying for this test, I never realized how much ordinary people can actually do. I always thought politics was for politicians.
That's a common thought, but the U.S. system was designed for participation. Remember, we the people starts the Constitution. It doesn't say, we the politicians. Citizenship means you're one of the architects of this country's future.
That's empowering, but also kind of intimidating. What if I don't know enough about politics or laws?
Then you learn, just like you're doing now. Democracy isn't about knowing everything. It's about caring enough to get involved. Think of it like a community garden. You don't have to be a master gardener. You just have to show up, plant something, water it, and help it grow.
I love that metaphor. So every time I vote or volunteer, it's like watering the garden of democracy.
Exactly. And that's what makes citizenship special. It turns residents into gardeners of the nation.
That's poetic, Andrea. You should trademark that.
Maybe I will. But truly, one of the test questions asks, what is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen? And one answer is to be loyal to the United States. That promise isn't about blind loyalty. It's about active loyalty. It's loyalty through participation.
So it's not just about obeying laws, it's about helping improve them.
Perfectly said. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., another figure from the test. He fought for civil rights within the system, using the rights guaranteed by the Constitution. That's what a strong citizen does, uses freedom to expand freedom.
That's inspiring. It's like citizenship comes with both privileges and responsibilities.
Exactly. Another test question says, what is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens? And the answer is to vote in a federal election. Notice how that word responsibility turns a right into a duty. The test quietly reminds you, with great rights come great responsibilities.
Sounds like something Spider-Man would say.
You're right. The founding fathers would have loved Spider-Man's moral code, but that's the spirit of the U.S. Freedom balanced by duty. The Civics test, in a way, is a superhero training manual for citizenship.
That's a fun way to think of it. So, voting is like your citizenship superpower.
Absolutely. And you don't need to wait for November elections to use it. Even local votes, school boards, city councils shape the country. Every ballot is a building block of democracy.
I like that. It makes me feel like I'm not just joining a country, I'm joining a team.
Exactly. Citizenship is teamwork. It's the belief that your one vote, your one voice, can move the nation forward. And when millions of new citizens like you join in, that voice becomes a chorus.
That actually makes me excited to vote for the first time. I've lived here over a decade and always watched from the sidelines. Now, I get to be part of the game.
And that's the moment everything changes. Because when you vote, you're not just choosing leaders, you're choosing the kind of country your children and grandchildren will inherit.
That's powerful. You know, Andrea, I think this whole process is helping me see citizenship as something living, something that breathes through people.
That's exactly it, David. The U.S. Citizenship Test isn't just a list of facts. It's a map of how freedom works. It's how we remind ourselves that democracy isn't a gift you receive, it's a garden you keep growing.
Then I guess I'm ready to start gardening.
And that's the best kind of citizenship. Hands in the soil, eyes on the future, heart in the right place.
Your American Voice. Learn English and discover citizenship confidence.
Welcome back to Citizenship Unlocked. Last time, David and I explored what it means to belong, to vote, to participate, to plant your little seed in the garden of democracy.
And I've been thinking about that garden metaphor all week. It made me realize that democracy isn't something you just watch grow, it's something you water every day.
Beautifully said. And watering it means using your voice, especially through voting. Let's start there, because the U.S. Citizenship Test asks directly, what is one right only for United States citizens? The answer is to vote in a federal election.
That one's easy to memorize. But when I think about it deeply, it feels huge. I mean, people fought wars and marched in the streets for that right.
Exactly. Every time you vote, you're joining that story. The revolution itself was born from the cry, "No taxation without representation." People wanted a say in their own government. So voting isn't just a right, it's a continuation of that fight for representation.
You know, I used to think one vote doesn't matter. But now that I'm studying this history, I realize it's not about one. It's about everyone believing their vote matters.
Yes, that's the real power. Democracy depends on participation. It's like an orchestra. One missing instrument might not ruin the song, but if everyone decides not to play, the music stops.
That's poetic. So, every election is like America's concert, and each citizen adds their note.
Precisely. And when you take your citizenship oath, you're also joining that orchestra. You're saying, I will show up. I will play my part.
That's actually emotional for me. I've lived here so long, paid taxes, obeyed laws, but I couldn't vote. It felt like watching a movie without being able to speak.
That's how many feel. Voting transforms you from spectator to participant. It's your say in what kind of country America becomes.
So, when the test asks, when do we vote for president? The answer, November, feels more meaningful now. It's not just a date, it's a symbol of belonging.
Exactly. And when they ask, how old do citizens have to be to vote for president? And you say 18 years and older, it shows how citizenship passes the torch. The right to vote is the moment young people become voices in the nation's future.
That's powerful. I guess voting is how citizens write history in real time.
Yes, it's one of the most beautiful forms of freedom, and that's what the test really measures, not just knowledge of history, but your connection to it.
So the citizenship test isn't just asking, do you know who George Washington was? It's asking, do you understand why his legacy still matters when you cast your vote today?
Exactly, David. And when you mark that first ballot as a citizen, you'll feel it, the quiet pride of being part of we the people.
So, we've talked about the power of voting. But what about everyday citizenship? What happens after the election?
Great question. That's where the heart of community comes in. The U.S. Citizenship Test doesn't just quiz you on national rights. It reminds you that citizenship is local too.
You mean like volunteering or helping neighbors?
Exactly. There's a test question that says, what are 2 ways that Americans can participate in their democracy? The common answers are vote and run for office, but others include join a civic group or help with a campaign. Those examples are all about community.
So, democracy isn't just about politics, it's about people working together?
Absolutely. Democracy begins in neighborhoods. When you attend a school meeting, help clean up a park, or donate food to a shelter, you're shaping the country as much as when you vote for president.
I like that. It makes citizenship feel more human. I mean, not everyone will run for Congress, but everyone can help their town.
Exactly, and that's the magic of American democracy. It's built from the bottom up. Think of it like Lego blocks. Each community is a piece, and together they build the nation.
That's a great image. So, if I join a local project, I'm building my little piece of America.
Yes, and that's what the Civics test is trying to teach through its questions. For example, what do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance? The answer is the United States. But think of what that really means. Loyalty isn't just waving a flag, it's caring about the people who live under it.
That's beautiful. Loyalty through kindness, not just symbolism.
Exactly. Another test question asks, what is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen? One answer is to be loyal to the United States. But that loyalty shows in action, following the law, paying taxes, helping others, protecting the environment.
So, all the things we do for our community are ways of keeping that promise.
Perfectly said. You're already thinking like a citizen. Remember, the test even includes questions about responsibility, like when must all men register for the Selective Service? That's about being ready to protect the country if needed.
Right, at age 18. So even that question is about shared duty.
Yes, it's part of the social contract. Citizenship is a two-way street. The government protects your rights, and you help uphold the system.
You know, when I first started studying these questions, I thought they were random facts. But now I see they're like puzzle pieces that fit together: rights, responsibilities, loyalty, participation.
Exactly. The test is designed to reflect the structure of American life. Every question about the flag, the Constitution, or even holidays like Independence Day tells part of the story of how Americans live together.
That's interesting. So, when I learned that we celebrate Independence Day on July 4th, it's not just a date, it's a symbol of shared identity.
Yes, it's the day we remember that this experiment in self-government began. When you celebrate that holiday as a new citizen, you're not just watching fireworks, you're honoring a promise that freedom must be renewed by each generation.
Wow, I never thought about July 4th like that. It always looked like fun and food, but now it feels like a reminder that liberty needs caretakers.
Exactly. And that's what citizens are, caretakers of liberty. That's the deeper meaning of becoming American. The test questions lead you there step by step, but it's your understanding that brings them to life.
You're making me emotional, Andrea. I came here for a better job, but now I feel like I've been invited to join a national story.
That's what citizenship does. It turns opportunity into belonging. The test may end in a short interview, but its lessons can guide your entire life.
I love that. It's like the test is the spark, and living as a citizen is the fire that keeps it burning.
Beautifully said. The test is just the beginning. The rest is what you do with those rights, how you serve, and how you connect with others.
I think I finally understand why you say the citizenship test is really a conversation. It's America asking, "Do you know who we are?" and you answering, "Yes, and I'm ready to help."
Exactly, David. That's the real passing grade. Not the number of answers you memorize, but the depth of your understanding.
Then I think I'm ready for the next part, not just passing the test, but living the answers.
And that's where true citizenship begins. Congratulations, David. You're already speaking like one of we the people.
Living the American Promise, my U.S. naturalization journey and the meaning behind the oath.
David, we've talked about voting, rights, and community. But now I want to bring us to the grand finale, the moment every applicant dreams of, the Oath of Allegiance. Have you read it recently?
I have. It's serious, almost solemn. It's about renouncing loyalty to other nations and promising to defend the Constitution. Honestly, it gave me chills.
It should. That oath is more than a ceremony. It's a contract with the future. It's where you go from learning America to living America. Think of it like graduation day, but instead of tossing your cap, you lift your hand.
That's such a good way to put it. You know, the part that struck me was promising to support and defend the Constitution. It made me realize this isn't just about being proud of a country. It's about protecting an idea.
Exactly. The Constitution isn't just an old document. It's the supreme law of the land, one of the questions on the citizenship test, by the way, and that phrase means it guides everything. Laws, leaders, even citizens. When you take that oath, you're pledging to uphold it in your everyday life.
So being a citizen isn't just about waving a flag. It's about respecting what the flag stands for.
You've got it. The flag is a symbol, but the Constitution is the heart, and each new citizen keeps that heart beating. You'll notice that many of the test questions, like, what is the rule of law, or what does the Constitution do, are really about how we protect that heartbeat.
That's beautiful. I think of the test now like the warm-up before the oath. You're not just proving you know the facts, you're proving you understand the promise.
Exactly, David. And that promise, once you take it, becomes your compass as a citizen. The oath isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your voice in America's story.
You know, Andrea, I keep thinking about how different I feel now compared to when I started studying. At first, I just wanted to pass. Now I feel like the test is personal.
That's the transformation I love to see. The U.S. Citizenship Test might look like a list of 100 questions, but it's really a portrait of American life. Every question represents a principle you'll live by.
I can see that now. Like when the test asks, what are two rights of everyone living in the United States? Freedom of speech and freedom of religion. It's not just trivia. It's a reminder that those freedoms apply to me.
Exactly. The test isn't testing your memory. It's testing your awareness. It's saying, you live in this democracy. Do you understand how it works? That's why there are questions about Congress, the president, the courts. It's showing you the map of your civic world.
I like that image. So when I study, I'm not just memorizing. I'm learning the map of how the country runs.
Yes, and the more you learn, the more empowered you become. For instance, when you know that Congress makes federal laws or that the president is commander-in-chief, you understand who does what. You can hold leaders accountable, not just admire them.
That's true. When I first learned about checks and balances, it felt complicated, but now I see its genius. It keeps power from becoming dangerous.
Exactly. The test gives you those building blocks. It's like assembling a house. You start with structure, but soon it becomes a home. Every right, every responsibility you study becomes part of that home you're building for yourself here.
That's actually how it feels. Like I'm moving from renting space in America to owning a little piece of it.
I love that. You're earning your civic mortgage, and the interest you pay isn't money, it's participation. You pay it by voting, volunteering, caring, and speaking up.
I'll remember that metaphor forever. You know, I used to worry the test was a wall to climb. Now I see it's a doorway to understanding, belonging, and responsibility.
That's exactly what it is. And when you walk through it, you don't leave your past behind. You carry it with pride into your new role as an American citizen. So, David, as we wrap up, I want to ask, how has this whole journey changed your idea of citizenship?
Honestly, it's changed everything. Before, I thought citizenship meant a passport and a vote. Now I see it's about identity, connection, and care. It's like I'm not just living in America anymore. I'm living with America.
That's a powerful way to put it. The citizenship test prepares you for that relationship. It teaches you not just facts, but feelings like pride, respect, and curiosity. When it asks, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, and you answer, Thomas Jefferson, you're also recognizing the courage behind the words.
Yeah, And when it asks, what did Martin Luther King Jr. do? And you say, fought for civil rights, you're reminded that being American means standing up for justice, even when it's hard.
Exactly. You're joining a long line of people who worked to make liberty and justice for all real. The test is your invitation to carry that work forward.
It's funny, because I used to study just to remember dates and names. But now, every question feels alive. Why does the flag have 50 stars? Because it represents 50 states, and each one holds millions of stories, including mine.
That's the heart of it. The test isn't about memorizing someone else's story, it's about finding your place in it. Every immigrant who becomes a citizen adds a new chapter.
You know, when I finally take that oath, I think I'll be thinking of all those who came before me, and all those still studying after me.
And that's how the American story continues, one citizen, one voice at a time. You'll walk into that ceremony as an individual, but when you raise your right hand, you'll join a chorus that's been singing for over 200 years.
That's beautiful. I guess the citizenship test isn't really about what you know, it's about what you're ready to become.
Exactly. Knowledge opens the door, but character walks you through it. That's why I tell every student, the test ends in a few minutes, but citizenship lasts a lifetime.
And it's a lifetime I'm ready for. I want to vote, volunteer, and keep learning. Maybe even help others study one day.
That's the best way to honor it, by passing it on. You'll be part of that tradition of mentorship, of helping the next dreamer cross the finish line.
You know, Andrea, I used to think the U.S. citizenship test was just about the government. But now I see, it's about gratitude. Gratitude for rights, for freedom, for community.
And that's the truest form of patriotism, grateful participation. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to care. That's what makes democracy work.
I can't wait to start living that. You've really changed how I see this journey. Thank you, Andrea.
You did the hard work, David. I just reminded you that the answers on the test are really reflections of the life you're about to live. And to everyone listening, remember every what and who on the U.S. citizenship test is an invitation to a bigger why.
That's a great line. I'm going to write that down.
Please do. And when you take your oath, remember this. You're not just becoming a citizen. You're becoming a guardian of freedom, a keeper of justice, and a builder of community.
That's a lot to live up to, but it feels right. You know, the funny thing is, I'm not nervous about the test anymore. I'm excited.
That's the spirit of a true citizen, nervousness replaced by purpose. And when that officer asks you, "Are you ready?" you'll already know the answer.
Yes, I am, ready to raise my hand, say the oath, and start the next chapter.
Then congratulations in advance, David. The United States is about to gain not just a new citizen, but a thoughtful one.
Thanks, Andrea, and to everyone studying, don't just memorize, feel the answers. That's where the meaning is.
perfect closing words, because in the end, the U.S. citizenship test isn't just about facts. It's about finding your place in the American story. And now, David, it's your turn to write the next page.
I'll make it a good one.
I know you will. Welcome home to citizenship, to community, and to the story of we the people.